So it's time. Yes, I have to clean out all 3 of my freezers and reorganize them. And I include the food in my freezers as part of my long-term food plan. And most prepper experts say, no, 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 you can't do that because something could happen. You could lose power, you could lose that food. Well, it's true, but I do have some precautions about that I'll talk about. But I thought maybe we'd discuss freezer food storage while I clean out the freezers. So come on along. Today we're going to discuss why frozen food is part of my food storage plan. And we're going to talk about the advantages of it, the disadvantages of it, how long does freezer food last, and what are the challenges to keeping your freezers organized. Hey, I didn't introduce myself in case you don't know who I am. I am Prepper Potpourri, and I have a prepping channel that is for the everyday, not necessarily the apocalypse. And I make a lot of prepping, organization, and cooking videos without any prepping fear porn. So, I hope you subscribe and hit that bell icon. I definitely include the food in my freezers as part of my emergency food plan. You know, here is my emergency food pyramid. And you can see on the very bottom, it's fresh stuff, maybe what's in the garden and what's in my refrigerator. And next is what's in the freezer. Now, I do have a whole house generator that runs on natural gas, and I have individual generators that we could run through the window and power the freezers by gasoline if for some reason our other backup system didn't work. I consider frozen food to be pretty essential. And for me, remember, for me, prepping is not just about preparing for the apocalypse, right? It's preparing for the everyday. And it's so great to have something in your freezer. I mean, maybe the kids will call and say, hey, we're going to stop by tomorrow, which is Sunday. And I know what that means. They want a good Sunday dinner. So I just go to my freezer, take out a nice roast, let it thaw out overnight, and I'm ready for a great family dinner. And I didn't have to run to the grocery store. It's so convenient having your freezers full of good food. And one of the other advantages is you can buy meat in bulk or on sale. And, you know, I go to our local grocery store and they have a little area where the day before or 2 days before it's going to be the best buy date for meat or best sell date, whatever it is. They put it there and they mark it down a half. So I gobble up a bunch of those packages, take them home with me, maybe repackage, vacuum pack them, and put them in my freezer. Because then I have not only had the convenience of freezing food, I have had the cost savings of frozen food. How can you beat that? And the other reason I love my freezers is I have a pretty big garden, and when harvest time comes, I like to put some up, you know, preserve it, but often in the freezer, because to me, my homegrown vegetables just taste better and have a better texture frozen than canned. So my freezers come in handy at garden harvest time too. Sure, are there some disadvantages? It does cost you money to run your freezers, and it depends on how full your freezer is, how large your freezer is, what the kilowatts cost in your area with your electric company, and if your appliance is energy efficient. But it can cost $10 or more a month to run a freezer. But to me, that is really, really worth it. And of course, your other disadvantages, you could lose power, something could happen, and you'd lose everything in your freezer. Let me give you an example. We have a chest freezer downstairs, and it wasn't like we were on vacation or anything. We just had no need to go into it. And I send my husband down and say, yeah, can you get some chicken thighs for tonight's supper? And he goes, oh my why? What's wrong? Everything, I mean, it was sitting in water. Everything wasn't half frozen. It was just not frozen at all, and it was beginning to smell. Now, we never lost power. So what happened? Well, the cord that went in the wall came out. Now, we are suspicious that the cats might have thought that was a fun cord to play with and got it out of the wall. So we now have this protector, plastic protector on it, and so far, no more problems. But that was sad. We thought we had all of our bases covered, and we didn't. Now, you want to keep a thermometer in your freezer. It's really a good idea. You want to keep the temperature down to 0 degrees. And you can keep one in your refrigerator too and make sure it's 40 degrees. I have 2 of these. One is placed in my side-by-side freezer and the other is in my chest freezer. So this link right here is great. It gives you 2 of those freezer, refrigerator thermometers for less than $6. Now what happens if you lose power and you don't have any backup power and you have a freezer? Well, if it's full, you're probably okay for 48 hours. Just don't open the door. If it's half full, it might only be 24 hours. Now, you can go, if you could get away, to the store, depending on what the emergency is, and buy dry ice. I think about 50 pounds of dry ice would keep it another possible 2 days. Or get big bags of ice cubes, right, and put it in there. Or take the frozen food out and put it in coolers with ice cubes, or maybe bring the frozen food to friends or relatives that don't have a power outage and keep it in their freezer. But yes, you could lose everything in your freezer if you had a power outage and you didn't have any backup. So people say, how long does food last in your freezer? Well, if your freezer consistently stays at 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below, it will last, wait for it, indefinitely. That's right. But over time, the quality could diminish. You could get freezer burn. Other things could happen. So it's still a good idea to try to rotate your food, you know, about every 18 months, try to rotate. But it won't go bad with bacteria and make you ill. Now, when I was cleaning out my freezer, I found a pound of bacon all the way in the back. I thought, well, it looks good. So it was only, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. So I fried it up, gave it to the family. We all thought it tasted really good. And then, of course, I told them, do you know how old that is? And they all look at me like, but it was absolutely fine. So, as long as your freezer is at the correct temperature consistently, your food will last indefinitely. Now, I had this video on how I was organizing my chest freezer, and I was using Dollar Tree bags, and I used kind of superhero ones, so I could say, hey, go down in the Batman bag and get me some ground beef. And of course, in those superhero bags, maybe one meant ground beef, one meant pork, whatever, but then we could easily grab them out, go through the bag, and put it back. Because the problem with a chest freezer is everything is on top of each other. So it can cause a real mess to find what you want. Well, one of the things I'm doing today is kind of rotating my meats. So if stuff is from last year, trying to kind of bring it upstairs and bring the newer stuff I bought downstairs for storage. And I got these new bigger bags. I got these Dollar Tree bags. They are bigger, maybe not quite as well made as the other bags, but they can contain more. Hoping that will make things a little easier in the chest freezer. So this is our chest freezer. It's not a huge freezer, and really it's only about half full. So this will give me some storage from upstairs to put down here, get things organized. But now, time to get everything out. Have everything laid out of the freezer. I'm gonna look at the dates. Older stuff's gotta go upstairs, and then I'm gonna put them in the new Dollar Tree bags. So I've pasted exactly, beef goes in the blue bag, pork in the orange, and poultry in the green. Okay, we'll open it up. Well, here it is. So we at least have everything in its colored tote. You'll see a Wonder Woman tote still here and a Batman tote because I didn't have enough room for all the beef. But I went through all of it, and the older meat is now upstairs. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, Xander wants to help me through this whole project, don't you, Xander? Oh, you're gonna look right in there? Okay. So what are your organizational challenges? Well, basically, it's your family members. You might come up with the perfect organization. But if everybody doesn't use it, it causes problems. I mean, I'll come home, I'll get some of that half-off meat, right? I vacuum pack it, and I say to my husband, hey, will you take down to the chest freezer? And he does, but he just throws it on top. He doesn't put it in the right bag. So, unless I do it myself or remind him which bag it goes into, my great organization method may be for naught. Okay, so this is my upright freezer. And you can just see things are just jammed in here. Really hard to even see what I've got in here. Okay, the top, we've got the bigger packages. And then we have the beef and the chicken. And these are all 2022. We need to use up that first. Down below, pork and fish and seafood the same way. And then we have some fruit and some ices. Pecans and walnuts, and one more roast I didn't have room for, and a bunch of veggies, and a bunch of veggies on the bottom. Okay, open it up. There's the top. We got plenty of room for new, like pizzas and stuff. A little bit there, a little bit there. Ice cubes. Yep, a little fish. Other little meals. Xander is meowing. And then on the door, we have plenty of butter because this is where I store my butter, get it on sale, and freeze it. So there we go. There's Xander wondering, is there anything for him? Look, all three freezers completely gone through. Had to get through a couple that there was a tear in the bag and there was just too bad frost burn. So I put them out for the animals at the edge of the woods. But overall, everything was in good condition. And boy, do I feel good having all three freezers organized. So I hope this video inspires you to organize your freezer or consider getting a freezer for food storage. Please comment below. Do you consider your freezer food part of your emergency food storage? Yes or no? And if you have any tips. And if you want to know how to extend the shelf life of your baking supplies, watch this video.